following the Norfolk WI as they celebrate their centenary. Here in the county, two ladies toured tirelessly to recruit new members to the Institute, Mary Burgess and Evelyn Suffield. They'll be pleased to hear that new WIs are popping up across the county even today. Well, Kate White is the president of the new Swallowtail WI in Norwich. She's here. And on the phone is Norfolk WI Chairman Margaret Collingwood, who's been researching them both. Margaret, first to you, good morning. Tell me about the work that Mary and Evelyn did.
Good morning. Well, they didn't know each other before the WI came into force, but Lady Suffield was working with the Board of Agriculture, who was helping to set up the Women's War Agricultural Committees across all the counties. You know, they were doing it for land women and helping to produce food during the World War, the Great World War in 1914. And Evelyn Suffield took the lead in recruiting, training and placing women into the Land Army. And she and Mary Burgess sort of took over in the same manner the idea of starting up WIs throughout the county. And they would travel far and wide, which when you think of the state of roads and the lack of public transport certainly must have been quite an achievement to get to really rural places to start WIs up, because she was such a driving force. And Mary Burgess was at her side the whole time.
I was going to say, yes, I mean, cast your mind back to those. You know, some would say that the roads haven't changed much in the county. but Margaret, trying to do that and actually trying to sort of keep the enthusiasm going by visiting them, it must have been quite a tough gig, actually.
Oh, the enthusiasm was there. Women were desperate for something like this. They felt a real sense of the lack of education, especially on matters to do with the home. They wanted to learn about producing food. They wanted to learn about making their homes more comfortable. We had a lovely talk the other day from a lady called Julie Summers, who actually was talking about World War II, but about make, do and mend and fashion on a ration. And women have always, all through the ages, and now especially, wanted to make the best of what they've got at home. And, of course, the WI was beautifully placed to provide the teachers to get out into these rural communities. And the Ministry of Agriculture worked with the WI to supply people that could go out and do the teaching.
So was it quite a natural progression, Margaret, between the Land Army into the WI, do you think?
Not sure about the Land Army, because I'm not sure how much free time the Land Army had. But you mean for Evelyn Suffield, perhaps? Well, yeah, I guess you're herding women, which is a bit like herding cats. So if you're good at one, you'd be good at the other, wouldn't you, really? But
do you have a date of when the first official WI began in Norfolk?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was East... Oh, do you know, I've had that written down and I've lost my piece of paper. But it was certainly in 1918. But what is exciting is that the first ones, out of those very, very early ones, we still have 5 going now.
Wow.
Which is just incredible, isn't it? That we've actually got those 5 still going 100 years later. And then in 1919, which is, of course, our centenary year, we've got another 6. And so I'm having a lovely year, which is perhaps not relevant, but I am, going round and visiting WIs everywhere. But it was actually East Runton that began first in January 1918.
Fantastic. Now, one of the youngest is Kate, in terms of when you formed. Morning to you, Kate. What made you decide that actually the Women's Institute was for you?
Well, I originally joined the Women's Institute in London. And when I moved to Norfolk, I relocated, and I knew early on, because of my experiences in London, that it was a great place to make new friends. So I arrived and heard this WI was being set up. So got on board straight away. And I think that the Swallowtails were formed wanting to mix two of the kind of great things about WI, the heritage and the history, but also the kind of modern twist to it, and what it was going to be like for younger women as well.
Because that's the real challenge, isn't it? Because there are still some who have the WI as dusty and talking about making jam and the older things of it. And actually, it's very vibrant. It's changed with the times. It's moved with the times throughout its history, hasn't it?
Absolutely, and I think that people underestimate the WI as a political force as well. You know, we're very much holding people to account on different issues. This year in particular, we're talking about 2 different issues to take on board as our resolution. One of them is Don't Fear the Smear, and the other one is all about rural bus services. So there's a real contrast there between different things that are important to different age groups.
Those challenges, though, and it's interesting because Margaret there was talking about the Land Army and about women needing a voice at that point in their history. And actually now, in a sense, women are still finding their voice. We think about the Me Too movement. We think about the real changes that have happened in the past couple of years. That voice finding is still there, isn't it?
It's so important, and I think the WI has absolutely led the way in those kind of and giving women those opportunities. I personally love the mix. I love the fact we still skill share. We have this great heritage of baking and crafting and making. That's a wonderful thing. One of the best meetings we had was sharing frugal tips, which, you know, you kind of thought about it and thought, oh, what will it be like? And the whole room came alive. It was wonderful.
Margaret, by the sounds of it then, Make, Do, Mend and Ration and Fashion are still very much alive in the WI today.
Well, I think it's more alive than ever because we are so fed up with the waste that is produced in our homes. And it's not just plastic waste, it's food waste, it's clothing waste. And I think nowadays the WI is really, really in the forefront of that battle.
Margaret Collingwood and Kate White, thank you so much for joining me on Sunday Breakfast this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.